It's obamasweapon.com. So I'm gonna be dead soon. They're gonna keep killing me. They're gonna target me. I'm gonna be dead. And everything that led up to my death, all the facts covered up because the government's been trying to cover this up and murder me for a fucking decade now. We'll just push out the whole length to a decade because a decade is when the conspiracy begins, really. And you can go into my childhood, you find all sorts of fucked up state shit, though. You find that there was similar stuff happening in the school system. I mean, I'm serious. You say, oh, he was not involved in school. Where's all the normal school services they provide kids who are being beat up at home by their family and stuff? You know, where is it? Where is it? Where's the guy who was given a chance to graduate high school? None. I didn't even enrolled in high school at all. See, that's where the school district had involvement in some of this shit in Springfield. And they're powerful. The state would, when you're old, the state wouldn't have a system of identifying that later on. They don't even give a fuck. But I do know that they were tracking my case legally because I called the school district and I had conversations with the person personally tracking my case. It was really odd. There was someone tracking my case and it was all done for legal reasons. So, but because they were concerned about getting sued, they weren't doing their jobs, right? They were doing everything under the table illegally and no one was there watching them. You know, when I'm older, well, this is good because it shows that the state wasn't even doing their job, possibly causing me to get involved in the legal system. See? Maybe the local cops, when they came up to the house and see me all bloody and beat up by my family, that wasn't good enough for me to do anything. That's like domestic violence, man. They're supposed to mandatory arrest people for that shit, but they didn't. So the cops were involved too, just targeting, discrimination against me, whatever. You know, caring more about the parents and the adults type stuff. Or the parents and the adults versus the children. That's what I'm trying to say. I've heard other stories where you had children who are not getting any help at all in Oregon. That's where it starts off, just wrecking their lives. They don't get no help. There's no social workers or no fucking like independent anything. Deadbeat parents just keep getting to be deadbeats their whole lives. That sucks. Because you have kids who are not the same as their parents being taken down and not getting help. Alright, well, at the state hospital, the conspiracy. Man, goddamn. It's so fucking easy, man, to tell what was happening. In 2006, let's go there to Bonnie Tucker being a sexual fucking retard to all the patients. All of them. Especially a small group of males. Usually. That's who the group would change over time. David Anderson, Todd Griffin, fucking Clifford Beers, different people. It's always some group. And she's bringing in drugs for not me, but everyone else. Marijuana. She's fucking like doing crap with them. There's other stuff like that too. But I'll just focus on her. Now, in January 2006, they witnessed her other staffers her doing inappropriate things with me. What'd they do though? Did they report the abuse per the policy? Nope. Did they report a suspicious stuff going on? Nope. They have their usual male team of violent union members get all conspiratorial. They got Gus and they got fucking Randy Davis upstairs and Kurt Hendricks, the little fucking idiots. And then they got Jeff Berkholz. He's that guy that they thought knew so well how to fuck with the patients that he was a favorite. He's like a little schizophrenic himself. Bring him in to fuck with someone and be sadistic and violent, psychological to people. And he's sitting there laughing about the patients on the hallway all the time. He's sitting there laughing and irritating them. It's a big game. 48B was the violent unit to hang out on if you were a staff. All the aggressive staff were there. Fun, fun, fun all day. Fucking fun. They loved working there. It's their fucking favorite unit, some of these staff. They all say it. They all like, dude, this is our fucking favorite unit to work on. And it's the atmosphere. They're out there dicking around all day. Fucking around the hallways, laughing it up. Fucking cussing it up, swearing it up. They go out after work partying to a strip club or something. You hear about them, talk about it all the time. That's all they fucking do. They're fucking each other. God, they'll be rubbing each other's backs and fucking like sexually harassing you. You're watching them fucking fuck each other right there in the unit, basically. It's fucking sick. They're hugging each other. They're fucking like, you can tell after work, he's fucking her. She gets pregnant. It's fucking sick shit. And patient-wise, you're getting, they're smacking patients around, choking them up, breaking their backs, breaking their bones. It's fucking sick shit. They don't, they're around really bad people, the patients there. These aren't people you want to be around. Not at all. Unless you're a dipshit who's brain dead already. You can't even tell who they are. You're not sensitive to care to tell, but I'll tell you what, there's way better people everywhere else in the world, if you do a comparison like that, so if you can, just don't rely on anyone. That's the most important thing. Some people think they need some people. You don't need them. You just need them to let you out of their facility so you can live in a fucking your own house. Most people don't think that's an option. They're taught helplessness and hopelessness, and that they don't get stuff like that. So, and in fact, that's true. So, when you're ready, you're always. Most people are capable of living on their own. They don't get that. So they gotta live around assholes who fucking micromanage them, and then laugh about how all these people are codependents and borderlines. They're like making you crippled in their care all day, and making you rely on their services that you don't want. It's fucking sick. And then they're hurting you afterwards and making fun of it and stuff. That's the way it is in that place. It's not a care facility. It ain't nothing. It's a fucking shithole. So, they know that Bonnie Tucker was touching me, and that she was taking me in the rooms alone. And they saw her doing it. And then Gus and Jeff Berkholz, they waged this fucking little war to get the fucking protector, and he'd sit there and say, whatever. And then they arranged to falsely put information in the report to cover it up. What she was doing, framing me. How do I know? Because a nurse RN came to me and said, because I was actually not seen as totally like crazy. And I'm getting out of there. Everyone knew I was getting out. My release was approved. Well, one RN who was not entirely retarded like the rest of the staff tells me this. She comes, and I'm not vouching for her at all, but she was amongst a temperament that was slightly different from the violent staff, and she was an outside nurse. I think she was a contractor. So she floats from different hospitals, and she doesn't really work for the state. She's contracted by another firm. So she's mixed in with these violent regular staff, and she does whatever regular job she does. And she comes and tells me, Todd, there was something really funny put in the report about you, and I knew it wasn't true, so I took it out. But I just thought I'd let you know. See, that was what was going on. They were framing me. Next, there's stuff psychologists who were regular staff were putting shit in there. But no one was talking to me. See, if you compare, if this was a big problem with me, no one told me about it, but they were putting it in the record, and then I couldn't read it, and I didn't know it was being put in there. But Bonnie Tucker, as you know, you advance forward, you know she's a confirmed, basically a rapist of patients, drug smuggler, fucking helping them escape, boundary problems, and all this stuff. So, what's with these? And anyway, you could, a psychologist might say, oh, Todd is having some boundary problems today, but they'd say nothing like this to me. And something blah blah blah, but they would say nothing to me to find out, to ask me what this was about or what, and I wouldn't know. I'd be sitting there, my release is approved, I'm thinking I'm getting out, and it's all about Bonnie Tucker, and they're trying to frame me. So what they've done is they got together and they're having conversations about this stuff, and then they were lying about it in the record. They weren't saying that Bonnie Tucker was doing all this. They were saying I was doing this. But despite all this, I still get a further approval to leave the hospital. February 2006. Now, in the hospital procedure, they're supposed to report all this stuff that they know to the superintendent or office investigation training. Supposed to be investigated as abuse. They know that she's doing it, that I'm feeling uncomfortable. And that she took me in the rooms alone and hugged me and held my hand and stuff. She was doing all that. This wasn't for comfort either. This was sexual shit. She was a sicko. She got off fucking with patients and touching them and stuff. Getting involved in their lives and crap. So, you know, she wasn't anyone you want to be around. And I felt uncomfortable around her. But that didn't save me at all. Didn't stop me. I was forced to work with her because she's a fucking staff. She's there. They hired her. She would come and get me out of my room and force me, Todd, I'm not going to leave you alone until you come and talk with me. Sick. Then she tells me she knows she could lose her job if she gets in trouble. See? That's what they do. They threaten the patient. They say, I could lose my job if anyone finds out about this, so you better not tell anyone. See, she actually threatened me. Wow. And so I told the staff about this stuff, and they didn't do anything. And I ended up I moved units to, well, yeah, I moved units. And I told the staff about it. I was looking for someone to tell there. And the staff told me not to talk about it. They said, Todd, they said they already knew. And they all come. They just tell me not to talk about it. And then they're calling me a sexual predator. Different female staff, they arrange it as if to set me up where none of them will be around me. They're all afraid of me. It was all like that. They're all making accusations all of a sudden. Oh, get him out of here. Oh, God, we're all so angry. How did he get all his release stuff approved? You know, because the staff told me that. They came down and said, Todd, they're really angry that you got all your approval for release. And when you get here, you're already here and you have approval for release. So there was an effort to sabotage it, calling in sick. Every staff would call in sick to make sure that on days certain things about my release were to happen. No one was there to do anything about it. Couldn't go on my pass to Lane County and stuff like that. Repeatedly, you look in the record over and over and over. Every single pass approved would be canceled because of staffing problems. Meanwhile, I was told I was ready for discharge. So when I was there, I just spent time getting abused. The little staff are calling me names. Doctors trying to drug me. He says, oh, I know all about you. You're a little manipulator. That's Dr. Chen. He's pro at framing patients. See, he's not the doctor who cares about the patient. He's the doctor who frames, drugs them, and keeps them there for 20 years. And has no punishment for it. He's doing the work of the state. Well, remember, she gets exposed for doing all this later, but all the dirty, violent shit they did at first, no, it's not even in the record what they did, because they were in control of it the whole time. The whole fucking time. They knew what they were doing. It was an intimidation tactic. Threw me off. How am I supposed to know what to do? There's no... So eventually I write a letter describing how she took me in the rooms alone and stuff, and I sent it to people. And how she screwed up my release and my treatment at the hospital. And I tell these people, the investigators, everything that she did. That she was doing with other patients, David Anderson. She was bringing in marijuana and dropping it under a table, under security camera, just so no one could see it. Just boom, under the table, cameras right up there, microphones. He's right there next to her at the table. And he reaches down and picks it up off the ground under the table. It's right there. Other patients would later have big bags of marijuana seen, and they're all smoking the weed in the rooms and stuff. Everyone's smelling it and everything. So it's all confirmed that this was happening. John Eastman was a patient who got charges for some of this. The marijuana came from Bonnie Tucker. She was the one bringing it in to him to circulate. And he knows that. And he said the staff, the hospital, was framing him for it. See, that means that they were covering up Bonnie Tucker's involvement. And that's what he told me. So they framed his ass. They were framing the patients to take the fall for everything. All the patients got big time. Bonnie Tucker got no time. None of the other staff got time either. Including the staff who took bribes and they were doing drug smuggling of packages around the hospital and crap. There are security members involved too. It's a dirty, violent hospital. Anyway, this level of conspiracy leads to murder and killing of patients. Because it's that violent and crazy. And they're all each involved in it. They all know it. They'll have every member of the state, the way they control these situations is it's okay. The staff have immunity. No one's getting in trouble. And each staff member participates in the cover-up. And you're the victim. You're the victim saying, no, this is not okay. But each staff then targets you in an organized fashion. So they'll go through your paperwork together. They'll go through they'll fucking tear through your legal stuff. If they know you got an attorney, they'll be listening to your calls, eavesdropping on you. They'll fucking harass you together. It's fucking sick. The doctor will deliberately falsely drug you, and nobody can stop them from hurting you before it's too late. Now, here's some where a lot of stuff confirmed about this crap. So, now this was in the newspaper, just in February 2000. No, actually, the newspaper article was delayed to December 2007 because the state was covering this shit up, and it was actually an accident when the newspaper got the public record on it. It usually is. See, they don't just make a press releases. They don't make a note about this crap. Okay. How do I know about this? Well, the staff were in the hallway talking about it when the newspaper got the public record given to them on accident. The staff were all notified. They all fucking were like, oh my god, this is going to be in the newspaper. Holy shit, we turned over the information on some of this. The reporter went right in. I'm pretty sure it was an office. I don't know which one because it's a while, but I thought it was the Oregon State Hospital. And they went in. It was either that or OSP, Oregon State Police, or wherever. So, they request the public records. the staff were saying, oh, well, they shouldn't have given it to him, man. I wouldn't have given it to him. I wouldn't have given him shit. And it was, different staff were just talking about this shit. And it was a big enough thing that everyone was talking about it in the hospital, all the staff. They knew it was coming. So, in 2006, I had gotten hooked up with Oregon Advocate Center multiple times. And these people are dirt fuckers. Man, you look at the history of how long they've lived and existed, and how many times they've been involved in scandals at this place, at different facilities around the fucking state of Oregon. And they've written articles about patients' deaths and stuff, okay? They know what's going on. These dumb fuckers get involved in my case, and it turns out that they're actually, in their modern capacity, so fucking, like, friendly and social with the staff that they don't, nobody gets in trouble for shit. There's no threat. So, but while working with Glenn LaFollette, that was one guy who personally, I did my fucking request for assistance, and I said, my approved release, I haven't gotten out, and the doctors, at some point, you know, there'll be stuff in my record about different things too, like even Marvin Fickle, superintendent, putting in an order himself personally, instructing staff to keep Bonnie Tucker away from me. That's in my medical record. But besides that, there's, you know, no work on my approved release was done, and I go on a little bit of time. It turns out that the protection I'm given by Superintendent Marvin Fickle, what he does is he sends me back off of 50G where I'm being abused, and I think he comes into the room to meet me first before he does it, and then he sees something in me. I don't know what he sees. He's lying to me at first. He says, well, I'm here for you to do what you need. But then he just suddenly radically switches up and starts ignoring everything I say. And I start talking to him about how I've been getting abused and stuff. And then he fucking like ships me back to 48B for no reason. From medium security. I have my approved release. It's been sabotaged. He knows all about this shit. I was one of the few patients ever to get released from maximum with all my privileges. And he was there at the fucking system to help set that up, and everyone else was. Risk Review Board and fucking PSRB shit. He knew I was getting out. He sends me back to 40B. He says, keep Bonnie Tucker away from him. And then I'm there for a few days. I get transferred to another unit. 50D. Now here, little did I know, it was not for my protection at all. Because the new doctor, she doesn't ask me anything about my abuse. She knows all about it, though. And just keeps silent about everything. It's a big game of silence the whole fucking time, right? I sit there, going through abuse there. I get harassed by her. Dr. Sketch is famous for abusing people. Everyone fucking knows her. She drugs me when I complain about Bonnie Tucker one time. She gets angry when I talk about my release and stuff like that. My attorney gets involved at one point, because at one point I don't know that I have approved release. Or I do, but I'm not getting out. So what I do is I put in a hearing, a request for PSRB. Well, Harris gets involved. Here's an interesting story about Harris. This guy is a corrupt little bitch. First of all, he doesn't remember anything from my original case at first when he comes to meet me. My original case, about a year earlier, my release is all approved. And he went, case manager from Lane County gets involved and says, yeah, they'll take me back. He argues with the PSRB. He's appropriate for conditional release. PSRB says, you may leave as soon as the bed opens up. And they had a new doctor there, or I think it was a black doctor who said that. The PSRB was the big fucking room, man, and all these people there fucking hearing. They all approved my release. So a year later, I'm still there. I put in another hearing, and Harris gets involved. First meeting, he doesn't have the record there to read, knowing that my release doesn't say nothing about that, but he acted like I was some antisocial person when I'm complaining about the staff, and he does nothing about anything I'm saying. He doesn't take any of it seriously. And what I'm saying is, he would go, "Oh yeah, let's rip you out of sketch and stuff." And he does that. He does that weird thing where he just sits there and he'll say these weird, bizarre things. He's just clearly like acting like he knows he's playing with your mind. Okay, he does it with every person, man. He'll sit there and agree to stuff, but he never means it, you know. And he just says it. Well, it was really weird stuff. He knows he probably has, like, he's never done anything to try to rip anyone out of anyone's care. And what he was saying just sounded, I don't know, you had to be there to hear it. Okay, because but then he calls me back after getting the record, and, you know, he's reading some stuff about nurses fondling me stuff, because I wrote a letter and I put it in there about Bonnie Tucker, right? And he got a copy of it. So it's in the PSRB record, and it says what happened, but he doesn't see that as a need to help me. He goes, "That's some weird stuff. Nurses fondling you or whatever. I don't really know. He just treated me really badly, like he was abusing me. He didn't care about it, and he didn't take any of it seriously, when it's his job as an attorney to defend me and go through and investigate that and bring all the details out about what's going on. Not just the staff's cooked fucking record of crap, but the facts of all this stuff." And there was a report within the state hospital that said she had a history of boundary problems, and that certain staff had said that about her, and that she had a questionable story, and I in fact had personal details provided that, you know, she gave to me and all that. So whereas the state police, their report covers it all up. They were trying to frame me. OIT did one report where they partly cover stuff up, and there's factual inaccuracies. It doesn't talk about there being stuff in the medical record from January and February when this should have been reported. It says it wasn't reported until July or something, but the facility clearly knew about it way earlier. There's stuff in there about there's witnesses who are not interviewed and stuff like that. So, but at least it does say that she had a very questionable story and everything. And that they didn't really believe her, and they believed it warranted more investigation. That's what it says. Well, Harris then instructs me, well, my first conversation with Dr. Sketch is she really doesn't support you at all. See, that's showing the prejudice. She wants to keep you there, and she doesn't want to let you be released. And I looked at your first hearing, and the best thing I could recommend is that you don't have a hearing, because she's going to take away your release. Dr. Sketch in her mouth, she doesn't support patients, and she's going to make sure that you don't get your release from her. So if you can't, you already have your release approved by the PSRB, so I recommend you cancel your hearing. Don't give Dr. Sketch a chance to say shit about anything. And so I do that. I cancel the fucking thing. This sets me up for retaliation by Dr. Sketch. She immediately knows what happened. She comes, we have a conversation. Well, so you and Harris, you canceled your hearing, huh? Because you didn't want me to have anything to say. You didn't want me to be able to say anything, did you? And, she's talking about how she feels violated or how whatever. and she's just got this attitude. So this is just prejudice. I mean, that's my right to just cancel my hearing, right? She felt like we went behind her back and did all this stuff to scheme against her. Oh, well, now next thing I know, I get assaulted by a staff. Next thing you know, I'm drugged. And Glenn LaFollette is, she doesn't want to talk to him on the phone when he calls. Tries to avoid talking to him. That's from Oregon Advocacy Center. Because I call them up and say, I got my approved release, right? And I'm not out. And all this stuff is going on. Glenn LaFollette talked to the superintendent about this too. Guess what he said? He said, Todd is the boy who cried wolf. See? The perfect way to act like Todd never said a thing true about being abused. But it turned out I was being abused the whole time. Superintendent was in on it. So was all the different staff. Because Scatch knew about this stuff. She knew about Bonita Tucker and what she did, but she had never said a word about it. She's just sitting there acting like it never happened. See, that's not, I mean, think about it. A year goes by and no one's sitting down and like wondering what their staff are doing or what the patient has to say about the staff. Or as a therapist, you know, because out in the community, if you have a therapist, you know, have a social worker or a therapist or a psychologist, you sit down with them and the big topic of conversation is usually abuse and what your history is and stuff. Did your mama sexually assault you or something? You might have, you know, or did a teacher do it? That would be a thing to talk about. So if your teacher at school sexually abused you, that might come up. Especially for a patient or somebody or a student or whatever. Well, all I did was sit around and cry and get abused. And no one's sitting there. I mean, I'm trying to talk about how they're doing all this to me, and then they're covering it all up and acting like none of it's happening. So a plot hatches where after a staff attacks me, he ends up getting on top of me, punching me in my face and damaging my glasses and stuff. And I'm bleeding badly. I get up and I cough up blood. All these patients and staff witness it. He'd hit other patients recently. He hits them. He fucking slams doors on them, pushes them around. That was Martine Turner. So Martine Turner had abused several other patients, getting in fist fights with him. All the patients had this vibe about how they were afraid of him. He is intimidating. He fucking stare people up, boss them around. Different crap that he does. And they all say something about